Hello, baby. I don't know how he actually said that, the Big Bopper. I'm only going off, like, impressions of impressions. Go on, Alan.
Hello.
Hello.
Hang on a second. I'm just adjusting my microphone. It seems a bit loud. Hello.
Hello.
There we go. Okay, I've got
Hello.
it. Right.
It's the best opening we've ever done to an
Is
episode.
this because it's a Christmas
Hello.
episode and we're doing a tribute to Olivia Hussey in Black Christmas every time she answers the phone? Hello.
Nearly 300 episodes in. This is as slick as we've got.
Hello and welcome to Why This Film, where we revisit a film from your childhood. And today our guest is Calvin Dyson.
Hello. I didn't realise
You're talking about Gremlins. Right. Why do you like Gremlins from your childhood?
I thought this was Diminishing Returns. Have you changed the name of the podcast while I've been out?
I'm just stealing ideas. But we are looking at a childhood favourite, though.
This is annual viewing for me.
Can I, before we move on, can I quickly say thank you, Tomo, for that wonderful theme tune?
Oh, yeah.
Christmas remix. Yes, Calvin, talking about being out of practice, rusty. You and I, just the other day at the time of recording, went and watched Danny Elfman performing The Nightmare Before Christmas in concert.
Yes, we did. It was fabulous.
And although it was fabulous, he did keep fucking up the words.
He did, yeah. Some of the lyrics he messed up on, and it was kind of jarring when you know it word for word like we do.
He hasn't given it a second thought for 30 years.
That's what I think. Is because he's not been performing on the reg for ages. So I think it's all right. Even a seasoned pro like him will fall out of practice, get a bit rough around the edges. So it's fine if our openings are total shambles. We've not been doing the show every week for a while now.
Also, Sol's going to finish the show with a bit of Oingo Bongo.
Hell yeah.
Oingo Boingo.
Oingo Bongo.
Just to...
They drink it in the Congo is what I've heard, Alan.
That's racist.
Are they allowed to sell that anymore? Or is it off the shelves?
Umbongo, yeah. I don't know if you get away with that these days. Because it's not... It's
Kia Oro was the racist one, wasn't it?
They just said the...
Too orangey for crows.
I don't know if it was deliberately racist.
I think the sugar content would probably be enough to get it banned.
Garlic bread.
Oh, we're in good spirits. Why? Because it's Christmas.
Yay!
Oh my god.
We've had too much chocolate.
Jingle bells.
Yeah, I mean it's not Christmas, but it was snowy today, wasn't it, guys?
Oh, it's covered in
So
snow. Very
Lots of
snowy
snow.
down here.
Oh no, there's not actually any snow in Manchester. It's just you London.
Well, there's not
guys.
really any here at the moment. It's all
Snow.
sort of melted now.
Oh, has it disappeared? That's a shame.
We got a lot overnight. They got a good foot of snow overnight. There was,
Foot?
Oh no, I was out in it.
At the windmill today, we were well, I wasn't, but we had a cooking, prepping Christmas dinner for tomorrow because we're having like a community club that we have. We're having the Christmas lunch together tomorrow. So all day I've been there working and just smelling a Christmas dinner and not eating any Christmas dinner. It's been very frustrating, but I am feeling very Christmassy because of that and the big snowman that was in front.
Oh, lovely.
I wasn't feeling Christmassy, but then we did Nightmare Before Christmas followed by snow, and it's kind of like triggered it in me. It's sort of like, okay.
You also saw Electric Six, which always gets you in the Christmassy mood.
Yeah,
Just before we
sat
down to record this, I started writing my Christmas cards. So I'm also in a very Christmassy mood.
Calvin, you're such an old lady. Who writes Christmas cards?
I think it's nice to send and receive Christmas cards.
Also, it's the 12th of December, aren't you? Too late.
I wouldn't have been if the bloody
I was going to say
postman
the postal
hadn't...
service is fucked at the minute.
If they'd have kept to their jobs and not gone on strike, but hopefully it'll get there in time.
Yes, here we go. Calvin Farage Dyson again.
I solidarity with the workers, of course.
Oh yeah.
Look, I watched Gremlins earlier today, and it fully brought me into Christmas. I was like, oh, look at all that. Christmas lights, snow. Hey, hey, all the things. What else is there?
Dead Santa.
Dead Santa. Yeah.
I can't wait to talk about that scene with you both.
So, Calvin, you love this film.
Yes.
You're a normie.
A normie?
A normal person. Yeah, normal people love this
film. Yeah, normal
it's
person, but that is an insult. Don't get me wrong.
You're a basic bitch, aren't you, Calvin? That's the phrase.
God.
Basic bitch. That's what.
Oh. I think liking Gremlins is more sort of niche than Die Hard.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know about
But
that.
yes, this is one of my.
They're comparable. Like I would go so far as to say Die Hard's a bit of a basic bitch film. Everyone loves it.
Die Hard's a basic bitch film for men, particularly.
I prefer the second one, but I do watch the first one every year for Christmas. And then I tend to watch the second one around New Year's. That is a very New Year film to me. I think it's because this one's fresh in my mind, and the other one doesn't have the Christmas theming that this one does.
And then you watch the Key and Peele comedy sketch about Gremlins 2 afterwards because you start thinking about
No, I've never seen
when
it.
you're watching Gremlins 2. Well, let's save that for our Gremlins 2 Christmas special.
New Year special.
Can I ask you a question then, right? Because I watched this again today. I have seen it before, but God knows how long ago. I couldn't really remember that much about it. So here's my conjecture to you, Calvin. This film's crap. And you know it's crap as well. And I want to know why you like it, because it must be a nostalgia thing. Because this is a bad film, just in generally, like structurally and like acting and everything is quite poor.
Can I ask a question, Calvin, directly? Did you watch this as a child?
No, I didn't actually. It scared me too much as a child. So I came to this later.
Do you know, I was going to bring that up as well, because I thought it was... I think this film is really terrifying if you're like 8 years old. This would be absolutely... like, especially the end where the thing starts melting.
Yeah, no, I've got a friend who was like traumatized by it because his mum let him watch it. It like really fucked him up.
That scene with the mum in the kitchen, God.
Really? Where the gremlin is throwing a plate at her?
Now I think it's darkly comedic, but I do remember at the time when the gremlin is in the tree and the tree attacks the mother, that was quite a frightening image, and blowing up the gremlin in the microwave and all that. They're like, they kill people in this. Like, it's
This is something that one of my main issues is I don't think they're established as being menacing enough, because for the vast majority of the film, the gremlins don't come across as a threat so much as they come across some like drunken teenagers who've stolen a forklift or something and just like smashing up a cinema, throwing their popcorn around. They don't really ever come across like a genuine threat. And then you have people reacting like they are, like they're,
But they do very consciously kill people. It's not like they accidentally kill people.
I know. It's just it doesn't quite, at least not at first, it doesn't quite play that way.
This is my thesis. None of this really works on any level.
My issue watching it this time, I've only seen this once before. I came to it as like a teenager, I think, like a film fan getting into films. Oh, I'd better watch the classics that I haven't seen.
Start with Gremlins, move on to Citizen Kane.
I didn't particularly care for it myself either, but I thought like, I'll go back to it. I've got fond memories of aspects of it. It's maybe I'll appreciate it more today, and I think my tone might be giving some of my feelings away. But my main issue on the rewatch was this is basically the story of some fucking dipshits introducing an invasive species into their little town, then kicking off because there's an invasive species and like exterminating them all. And we're asked as the audience to like cheer as they just go around killing these animals that are clearly quite a rare endangered species that have,
I did think that, yeah. At one point there was like, they really instinctively murdering these things. And it's not attempt to sort of trap them or anything like that.
And a lot of the adults just go straight to killing them without even know it. Like, I forget, correct me if I'm wrong, but like the mother doesn't know these things are deadly, does she? She goes into the kitchen and they're throwing her plates at her, and she goes, "Oh, all right, I'm gonna stab the fuck out of this thing. I'm gonna explode it in the microwave."
You just need to look at him.
Oh, they see you, Calvin. Did they? I think that says a lot about Calvin.
I think they're quite cute, aren't they? They're quite fun, friendly,
They're
endearing.
like reptile eyes, and they're causing havoc.
I mean, they may as well be wearing a hoodie.
Eating the cereal right out of the box like that.
Oh, the dirty bastards.
Oh, I do that.
Don't
you do that?
You live alone, though, Saul. It's all right. You can do
yeah.
The first thing that jumped out at me, actually, I was someone who watched this a long time ago and had some vague memories. I was surprised that our main protagonists are not children. In my mind, they were like 13.
Yeah, same. I was also surprised that the main protagonist isn't a character. Like he's just they just put an actor in the shot, and that's about it.
Yeah,
right?
and that was a bit of a stretch.
I assume you're referring to Zach Galligan as Billy Peltzer, right?
Yes,
He's
Yeah, do you know he's got like loads of credits? He's actually like done
Really?
acting work. Yeah.
Well, I don't get the impression they were asking him to do anything. I didn't, I didn't have a problem with his performance, especially. I just didn't think his character had anything to do.
He is very self-deprecating about this role, and it's fun listening to him on the commentary and stuff. He's sort of like poking fun at his own performance. They do make fun of the next film is very meta, and they do address some of the very criticisms that you guys are making in that film.
Yes, I know. I'm not allowed to ask how the rules work because they did a joke about it in the second film.
When does it start?
You know what really struck me though with this film, and even as a kid I found this really weird. Like on paper, like it superficially it comes across like it should be a very intuitive story. Like we feel like it's a classic story, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm conveying this very well. No. But then when you get into it, it's like this kid is given a monster, but it's like a cute little monster, but if you feed it after midnight and get it wet, it turns into an evil... It will duplicate itself into evil monsters, like tribbles, but then the tribbles go evil, and then they attack you. It's like, it's so weirdly convoluted.
Well...
I just don't quite... And then the dad's an inventor?
Yeah, don't get into that.
John Candy died at this point. Is that why he's not the dad?
They wish they had John Candy. Let me ask you, Calvin, because you might know a bit more about this. Did they have a script?
Yes, they.
It really, really feels like they're making this up on the fly, and they've tried to edit it together, and it's not worked very well.
No.
Well, Joe Dante is quite famous for rewriting things and changing them on the fly, isn't he? To fit his own sensibilities, try and get them past like what the producers want from him. So is there some of that going on here? I know that was the case with the second film, wasn't it? They just kind of had to give him free reign to do whatever the fuck he wanted to come back.
Oh yeah, the second one is him unleashed, and I think in this one, I think you do have a bit of. I think that's why I think I prefer the second one, because in this first one you can feel that it is somewhat restrained. I think elements of it were written as a straight up kind of horror film for younger people. But then it was through Joe Dante and his particular sense of humor. He loves Looney Tunes, and a lot of the Gremlins shenanigans are very Looney Tunes inspired.
I know, but like I love the Looney Tunes, and I'm telling you, Joe Dante's work, it's no Looney Tunes. I know that he's kind of going for like big, bulbous eyes and things, and a lot of, like I see where he's like drawing on, but he is ultimately making live action stuff with puppets, and they can't emote in the same way. You can't choreograph them in the same way, and instead you can see the little sticks that move their arms very clearly in half the shots that they're used in, which I'm sure to you, Calvin, is endearing and part of the charm.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's a really well balanced horror comedy. I think that much like An American Werewolf in London, actually, I think they're comparable. I know Saul's probably fainted at the association there.
Well, no, I think maybe you're right, because American Werewolf in London's sense of humour is completely disjointed from everything else that film is doing, but somehow it works for me there.
I think that this is similar.
Yeah, I just don't think it works as well for some reason. I don't know why. Well, no, to be honest, I feel like I'm being very negative. It's Alan like ganging up with the stronger kid to bully the weaker one. I settled in. Like I was quite enjoying this at the start. The setup was a bit odd, but like entertaining. It was only really when the Gremlins like came out and started causing havoc that it was like, oh god, they've just got like, there's like the whole plot is basically done, and now we're just padding it with different scenes of the Gremlins, and each scene is so slow. There's that scene, for example, where a gremlin starts like using a puppet itself, and it's like, oh, it's a hilarious joke because a puppet's using a puppet, and it's like that's like a 10-second gag. And then the camera just keeps rolling for like 2 minutes while he goes, "Rah, rah, rah, rah." And it's like, yeah, no, we got it. We got the joke. We got it.
It feels like to me, this is what this film's. It feels like a toy company had some little gremlin toys that weren't selling very well. So they paid to have a film made about them to try and publicize it. Spent a load of money in pre-production on puppets. The money ran out. And so they threw some shit together with some pretty decent puppets. And they just they just didn't have a script. They let the puppeteers improvise and mess about. And then they went, should we have a story to kind of fit around this? And someone went, yes, get Joe Dante, he could do it maybe. Yeah, all right. And that's they spent like 3 days filming the wraparound bits.
Well, I mean, it had a lot more thought put into it than that. I mean, this is one of those 80s Spielberg productions. He even has a cameo in this. But the idea of Gremlins, I suppose we should probably talk about, predate this film by considerable amount of time.
I'm intrigued to hear this. This is what I mean. Like, it feels like it feels like a concept that should exist in like fairy tales, you know, and it just, but then you really dig into it and it's like, but it's so convoluted and I don't understand it. So I'm intrigued to hear the genesis of.
Well, I think to your point, Sol, about what you said earlier on about this feels like it should be a kind of classic tale. And it's not really. And to be honest, the more classic Gremlin tale is the Twilight Zone William Shatner. What's it called? Terror at 40,000 feet.
Something on the wind.
One of those things.
Nightmare at 20,000 feet, I think.
Right, yeah, that's it. Because that creature, I don't think they refer to it as a gremlin in the episode. Maybe they do, but that is more in line with the origins of the word and the association of the creatures, because it came up from 1920s RAF aircraft workers who would, if they had mechanical faults in their planes, they'd blame the Gremlins have done it. And then Roald Dahl published a book called The Gremlins, which kind of popularized it. And then there was a Looney Tunes cartoon, I think it was Bugs Bunny, who he did battle with a gremlin. It was about a plane. So there was always this association of gremlins with aeroplanes. If there's a problem in an aeroplane, it's the gremlin, in the engine or whatever. And this film changes that quite remarkably. I mean, I think that the word gremlin is somewhat arbitrarily used here. You could call them anything.
Well, they do lean into that with the fella who's like talking about foreign muck.
Yeah, it's quite nicely.
Always gremlins in the machine. That's obviously what he's
quite nicely handled, I thought, to be honest.
Yeah, true. But it is just interesting that there's no, other than him, there's no, they don't get on a plane at any point, and I would have thought that would have been the more obvious thing to do if that is primarily what Gremlins are known for before this.
That's the sequel, though, isn't it? When they fly over to another country and they go full pandemic.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question about structure.
Oh.
Why is the dad narrator of the film?
That's so bizarre, isn't it? I found that so weird.
Nowhere else.
Because I quite liked that it opened on the dad, but then he just vanishes and like.
And it feels like that.
And he's an inventor. Why is he an inventor? What's that about?
That was a very 80s thing, though, wasn't it? Like a kooky inventor.
I think
it doesn't factor into. Other than I guess it gives him like an incentive to like let's make loads of gremlins, but then that doesn't even like because we can sell them.
I think it is more because it just gives them like funny things at home to get comedy out of.
Yeah,
and,
I think so.
Yeah, his smokeless ashtray and all that.
It feels like a real holdover from a previous draft, but I don't know if it actually is.
That I hadn't thought that, but yeah, that does feel like. But it's like this. It's got this kind of. It feels like it's going for a sort of Americana, like Christmas Story kind of thing, but it doesn't quite do. Or it's supposed to be playing on that, like subverting that, but it never quite comes to anything. Nothing in this film comes to anything. That's the problem. And like, so the dad, we see him narrating a thing, and he's going to tell you a story, and then they chop it in at the end. That feels like they've just thrown that in, like in the edit, because it didn't quite make sense.
But this is what I mean. Like, I like individual elements of this film like that. They just nothing like kind of comes together in a way that I find satisfying. The scene at the end that we talked about before, where the girl explains why she hates Christmas, and it's revealed that her dad died in the chimney, and
comes out of nowhere, never mentioned.
Yeah, it's a great scene as a standalone piece. It's really interesting, like it's entertaining, but it comes out of nowhere. It doesn't really pay anything significant off, other than they did a Chekhov's gun line earlier. It doesn't fit the tone of the film. It doesn't
doesn't explain
any
her
sort
character.
of subtext or anything. It's just bizarre.
Just total nonsense.
I mean, to your point, it was rewritten and edited. I think the opening went on a lot longer originally. I think I'm remembering this correctly. There was a much more extensive sequence with the dad going around the marketplace and whatnot, and then they chopped it down and decided to just get through exposition in voiceover instead.
Even that is messy, because the dad is both trying to sell his inventions and find a Christmas present for his kid.
If he's just looking for a cool Christmas
weird.
Present. Yeah. Or exactly. Yeah. Just don't do both.
But just that Santa bit. Again, it feels like the dead dad in the chimney, Father Christmas bit. Again, it feels like a remnant from an earlier draft. It feels like that character originally had an arc, properly. I hate Christmas. And then she comes to enjoy Christmas through the weirdest way, and bonding with someone, and then the film is about, I don't know, the spirit of Christmas coming together and opening up to other people. But there's none of that really in there, so it's just this weird tangent. It's so
everything's a tangent. There's a section about 20 minutes where the main character, the boy, is not in it for ages, and then he comes back in later. Nothing's happened, and then there's another kid, one of the Coreys, is in it.
Corey Feldman.
That goes nowhere. Does something happen to him? Do we see him later?
He's in a sequence later on of defending himself against the Gremlins, but he is just Billy's friend, which is a bit odd because there's about 10 years difference between them.
Also, this film, and I think this is a Joe Dante thing, but it's something that really fucks me off in any film when you see it. And there's certain, it's to me it feels like such a film student impulse that I think should be hammered out of you before you're allowed to pick up a camera. But it's this this weird fanboy obsessiveness of they just want to show you shit. So in this film, there's at least 3 points where we just linger on a TV screen or something and have to watch an extensive clip from a film that obviously Joe Dante loves and just wants us to see this bit from It's a Wonderful Life, or is it Invasion of the Body Snatchers at one point, whatever film he's watching, and Snow White, and it's just why are we... Yeah, fine, have it on in the background, but we're just sitting here watching this thing, and it's not adding at least in Son of the Mask, they then do a whole fucking 20 minutes where the baby starts trying to replicate the weird Frog Warner Brothers cartoon after we've
that's a
sat and
quality
watched
film.
it.
That's the difference.
Well, I think Joe Dante is just a fan of classic Hollywood, and he does. You see him on documentaries of films that he had no involvement in, and he loves Creature from the Black Lagoon and all those 50s sci-fi movies. And
and it's just lame to just show us. It's I remember watching a student film when we were at uni, and it opened with loads of establishing shots of just this guy's DVD collection, and the camera would pan along so you could see every film on his shelf, and it was just I don't care.
I think you're
it's like when Electric Six do a cover of David Bowie or something like that.
Yeah.
You just think, oh, grow up, guys, do your own material.
No, because that would be Joe Dante parodying a scene from a Looney Tunes cartoon. I'd be all right with that.
Oh yeah, so it's like Electric Six just playing a David Bowie album, and then
It'd be
this is good, isn't it, guys?
That's what I mean.
Now
It'd be
we'll
like
do
the middle of an Electric Six gig. Dick Valentine gets his phone out and just starts playing a David Bowie song on Spotify into the microphone, and then they carry on playing afterwards.
I don't know. I think he'd do that.
He'd do it as a wonderful joke, is how that would play. He's actually got a bit in his show at the minute where he's started just getting his phone out and checking it on stage during one of the solos as a bit. So it's only like an extra step from that.
I think you're overselling how much of these clips are actually in here. I really don't think it's much. You hear James Stewart say, "Merry Christmas, movie house," and that's kind of it, really. And I think...
It's prominently throughout that scene with the mum as well, where she's chopping onions, and then the kid says, "Why are you crying?" And she goes, "Oh, it's a sad film." And she doesn't go, "Oh, because I'm chopping onions." That was weird. Is that a joke?
Maybe. Perhaps better actors might have landed it better. But I mean, I can't deny that the cast are wooden. It's probably the polite way of putting it. I think
the mum's one of the better ones.
I'll tell you who's good.
Polly Holiday?
No.
Oh, you Judge Reinhold.
No.
Another character goes nowhere. He's no reason to be in the film at all.
Come on, you know who I like.
Hey, Walter, here's what you're gonna do, Walter. You're not gonna let them...
That's the worst impression I've ever tried.
I don't know who... Hey, now.
Hey, Walter, you're not gonna get him wet, Walter.
Who's
You're gonna ring me.
I'm doing Jeffrey Tambor by mistake, but it's meant to be Breaking Bad man. Mike, what's he called?
Oh, right, yeah. I noticed, Mike from Breaking Bad is in it, but he barely does anything.
He comes in at one point and sort of goes, "Oh, Jesus Christ," and does his like laugh from Breaking Bad, and I was like, "Oh, that's good."
Yeah. Well, the Judge Reinhold character, funnily enough, you should say, Alan, he had some scenes deleted. They eventually went and found him. He'd gone insane and he'd locked himself in the vault at the bank. But apparently,
makes a lot of sense that there would just be a bit of a payoff for that character.
Yeah,
I saw that it's canon that he's dead, even though it's deleted scene. I don't know how they've established that. Do they mention that he's dead in the second one or something?
I don't remember. But there was a whole, the mum was supposed to die in one of the earlier drafts of the script. Like I say, it was, much, much darker. The Gremlins killing more people. Even now, it's somewhat ambiguous. I think they killed a science teacher. I mean, they definitely kill Mrs. Beagle. Mrs. Deagle, rather. But I think that's the only two...
We see her go flying across the, across the sky, but do we see her actually die?
You see her.
It's quite a cartoony film.
You see her.
You sure she doesn't land on the floor and turn into an accordion shape and stand up? Because that's the sort of thing Joe Dante would.
Well, that character, we see her very early on. She gets established. The most grotesque cartoon villain. No attempt to sort of character nuance at all.
Well, no, she was
the opposite of Pet the Cat is kill the dog moment, isn't it? She threatens to
Hey, I tell you what. No, I tell you what. Now I know that scene is supposed to be establishing she's a nasty piece of work, but that dog is out of control. It's a menace. It should be.
No.
It should at the very least be taken away from that boy who obviously can't train it right. It attacks her. I mean, it physically attacks her. That in a bank. Why has he got his dog at work? That's another thing. Immediately sacked. If you've got your dog at work, it's not a real job. That's the rule.
She's very much based on what's her name, Mrs. Gulch from The Wizard of Oz. Sort of,
the Wicked Witch.
Well, at one point she goes, "I'll get you next time, my pretty," or something. Yeah. She says something really Wizard of Oz-ish. And your little dog too. Come on.
Yeah.
Right, I see.
And even in this crappy, ridiculous film, it doesn't really fit.
You know what's really good in this film?
Oh, what is really good in this film?
The music.
The main theme tune, basically. The main theme, when it starts kicking in when the Gremlins
Yeah, I love it.
Great.
Did I recognise that from somewhere else? Because it seemed really familiar. Is it just this stuff?
They probably play it around the Brixton Windmill at Christmas or something.
No, you're right, Alan. Jerry Goldsmith? Jerry Goldsmith reused certain score pieces every now and then, and I think there was a film that predated this that used a very similar version of that theme.
So Gremlins can't even lay claim to that? That's ridiculous.
Well... It's blame Jerry Goldsmith.
It's like Hans Zimmer, isn't it? Just reusing Lion King 2 for everything.
Hey, speaking of that dog, they set it up as a really good character. It's one of the best actors. Is the dog's, the kid's best friend, all this. And then they just get rid of the dog, with some contrived plot that they need, that he's in the car with the dad. Like, why
Again-
not have the dog running around, like, helping fight the gremlins? You could have a little... You could just put a puppet in his mouth and tell it to go mad.
He pops up at the end, and I like that Gizmo's
Yeah,
going
put-
by in a little car,
put a
and it
sausage
makes him
in a-
jump.
Sock with a gremlin face on it.
Well, funnily enough, you should say, Alan, because the dog was originally supposed to die in one of the earlier drafts, they decided not to do that again because too dark. So the mum lives, the dog lives, but they both sort of get ushered away, and you don't have to think about them again.
But no, the problem is that we kind of set up this character, then they disappear. There's just no follow through on anything. Even our main... What's the character journey of our main protagonist?
Well, he doesn't have one.
What? Give me a character journey in this film. Anyone?
If anything, I think that the arc is with Gizmo. He is ultimately the one to Rambo up, and they make more of a thing of this in the sequel. But he is the one.
Yeah, in the next film.
That's entirely in the sequel, Calvin. It doesn't happen.
I was
at
going to
all.
say there's none of that in here.
It's here a bit. He's picked on, and then by the end he's driving the car and pulling the blind thing to.
I
let the
guess you're
sunlight
right.
in.
That is the closest thing we have to a character arc. Okay.
And it's about the kids' relationship together, Billy and Kate, and how they're quite shy, and this experience brings them together.
Are they? This thing. Hey, I tell you what though. You know how they work in a bank at the beginning, which I think is just a nod to It's a Wonderful Life, by the way. They just wanted to have a scene in an oldie worldy bank. That's how my parents met. When they were
bank?
teenagers, both working in a bank. Yeah,
Ah,
I think that's my personal connection to Gremlins.
this explains why you hate it so much.
They never taught a dog to work though.
Whilst I won't stand by them as great actors, I do really like Zach Galligan and Phoebe Cates in this. And I know that her scene about her dad getting stuck in the chimney and dying gets a lot of stick. I think it's kind of perfect and works with the tone of this thing really well in the terms of the dark comedy that I think Joe Dante's clearly going for, and the studio tried to make him cut it, but he insisted on it remaining in there. And like I say, I know it's a much dogged on element of the film, but I like it. I find it quite chilling. I find it darkly comedic.
Well, that's
really
it. Like
nice.
all the performances are quite poor, and it comes to a point where you've got to kind of blame the director. So
Has Joe Dante ever made anything like
good.
Well, yeah, that I like. Now that I'm just wondering. Now that you've pointed that out, I don't.
Do you
actually
like
know
Looney Tunes back in action?
No, obviously not.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. No, it's better than Space Jam.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe.
Not saying much.
Let me have a look.
Gremlins 2.
I think of him fondly. I kind of think like, oh, Joe Dante, cool. Twilight Zone the movie, not great. Gremlins 2, yeah. Small Soldiers, Looney Tunes back in action. It's not looking great. This, The Hole,
Piranha.
the reboot of MacGyver. I have seen he actually directed Police Squad, the TV series that inspired the Naked Gun. So I guess that's kind of cool. He did 2 episodes of Police Squad. I do like Police Squad.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But I feel like he peaked there. Have I seen The Howling? He directed The Howling. No, I've not seen The Howling.
I've not seen that either, but it is, it's a known quantity.
But I think the acting-wise, you could do this exact same material with better actors and it would just work a lot better. Okay, like I said, the dad in particular, everything he does just lacked any urgency whatsoever. And there's all this, there's loads of material there that you could do fun things with, and just gives nothing to it. Like, even he's supposed to be a kooky inventor. Like, why have they cast him as like the fat, middle-aged American, oh, I'm just stuck on the couch kind of guy?
I know exactly why. Do you want me to tell you?
Oh, is it Joe Dante's brother-in-law or something?
He's a musician that Joe Dante was a big fan of. So
He's a musician?
Yes.
Ah.
Let me
Does
just
he
have a
play
look.
any music in the film?
Singer, songwriter, guitarist. And actor. Oh, okay, he'd been in films before this. He was in The Black Stallion. If that means anything to anyone.
Is that a porn film?
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, not great. But I don't know. There's something kind of because everyone is stilted in this. Except for perhaps Mrs. Deagle. I think everyone else is playing it very earnestly and very. They're not winking. They're not nudging you, and yet the Gremlins are. And I think that Joe Dante is. And I think there's something about that works quite nicely. It feels like a 50s B movie. With a bit more of a knowing sense of humor.
That's it. I think it's just a 50s B movie with no understanding of why it's crap.
Well, no, I mean, you wouldn't get, the ants in them, like, playing poker and shooting each other. Like, there's definitely gags.
Well, because they actually took
the film would
the
maintain... that's why them's good.
Because they had higher standards than Joe.
The threat's, like, consistent.
But
that's great.
But
That's a really good film.
I love them.
It is off all the way through. I couldn't figure out, was it the music wasn't working, the editing was off or something, but the whole thing
I
lacked
agree with you. It's
drama, it lacked
slightly...
momentum, the speed is off, the pace is off somehow. I couldn't.
Well, that's what I
quite
mean.
put my
Every
finger
scene
on
with the Gremlins, it's like they're so in awe of the special effects that they forget to, like, keep the pace up. So every scene, every kind of gag scene with the Gremlins lasts about 4 times longer than it should.
And all the dialogue just needs to be 50% faster, regardless of any kind of emotion or intent you're putting into it. Just be faster because it feels really slow.
But you're right, the edit does feel weird. Like even at the start, when we hear the kid telling the dad the rules of the Gremlins, like that should be a proper scene. But instead, we like get this weird. Like,
oh yeah, by the way, don't get it wet.
Yeah, well, no, it's like weird voiceover over like a weird slowing down shot of him walking away from the place with like a color filter over.
Oh, that's what he
like,
says. Oh, they told me these rules.
It's like did the kid fuck up the line? Like what's the deal there? Like it feels like an edit where they've had to like fix something.
Well, that
gone
sounds
wrong.
like Calvin said they just chopped the beginning down because they want to get into the.
I guess so. Yeah. Which is a shame because the beginning's the best bit. Chop the middle bit down when the Gremlins are just playing with puppets and watching Snow White.
I have got a question for you, right? Do you remember Furbies?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, of course. Very well, yeah.
So were they just completely ripping off Mogwai, or was there legal problems for that, or was it legit? Was it like a licensed product thing? Because it's so blatantly a Furby.
That is a good question, actually.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's just a fluffy,
but it was
furry,
like 20 odd years
cute
later.
little animal, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, but it looks exactly like the Mogwai thing.
Yeah, well, at one point the Gremlins look exactly like the Tribbles from Star Trek that I mentioned earlier. You know,
but that is just a little ball of fur, though.
Going
just a transitional phase. Yeah. That is probably a deliberate
that
reference.
multiply when they get wet, I believe, don't they? Or maybe they just multiply. Maybe they just fuck each other, and that's how they do it. I can't remember.
Like rabbits.
But they multiply in a very similar capacity. They're like overrun with the things. I'm reading the IMDb trivia here. It's really upset me. It's just IMDb trivia is just bullshit.
Yeah.
Like there's one interesting bit of trivia here that apparently Spielberg was considering Tim Burton to direct based on his short films, but decided not to because he'd never made a feature before. So that's a good decision. That's panned out well.
That's a logical fact, though. I can believe that.
Yeah, that's vaguely interesting. But then there's other bits of trivia on here. There's a bit of trivia that one night the Gremlin animatronic was malfunctioning so much the whole cast fell asleep on set because of the delays.
Yeah, every
film. How many people found that interesting?
That's what I mean. Film
that's why ever made.
That's why they've got That's why they've got trailers with like beds in them.
They're shooting at night.
It's like I was going to say that's not even slightly. It'd be weird if they didn't go to sleep at a certain point. Like the original script contained a scene where the Gremlins attacked a McDonald's, eating the customers instead of burgers.
Well, there's quite a prominent Burger King signage in this film.
Yeah.
So that obviously fell through. The McDonald's sponsorships.
Director Joe Dante prefers Gremlins 2, The New Batch, to this movie.
That is interesting.
I've got one more point.
Go on.
Okay, you know the old Chinese man who doesn't sell them thing.
Yes.
I assumed this came out after the Karate Kid, and it was like, oh, we've got like Mr. Miyagi fever. Let's put a version of him in everything. And
No, 'cause
it's
then
the
this
same
might have
year,
been-
isn't it?
Well, this might have been good because they would have had something decent to copy. But my problem with it is he doesn't really see much in the first scene, but when he comes back at the end, he's doing a really crap like old Chinese man voice. Like he's obviously not. I guess he's Chinese origin or whatever, but he's obviously got an American accent. But they've told him to do like I am old Chinese man, and he's just. It's such a. Even that is crap. Like just hire an old Chinese bloke. It's not that hard, is it?
He is an old Chinese bloke.
I thought it was Eddie Murphy in a mask. That's how bad the accent was.
What do you guys think of
The Gremlins.
themselves?
I want to take a shower.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, no, I need to get in the shower before you. I was like, all right. And so I went into my room, and then my mom was like,
This is the story you were not sure about taking?
yes.
Okay,
And
tell me.
my mom was like, I'm getting in the shower. She says, like, I'm getting in the shower. I was like, all right. And she's like, no peeking. And I went, what? I just said, what? Out loud. And then she showered for a little bit, and then she's like, I'm getting out of the shower. No peeking. And she did it again. And I went, Ma, what the fuck? Like I was like, what the fuck are you saying that for? Why are you saying that shit?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys, listen up. Do I have to come up there myself? Do you think the Grimsters can stand up to the Hulkster? Well, if I were you, I'd run the rest of Gremlins right now. Sorry, folks. It won't happen again.
What did you guys think of the Gremlins themselves? Like, were you charmed by some of the puppet work and there's like a stop motion bit? Did you enjoy that, Saul? Or
No, I thought the stop motion bit was fucking dreadful. Actually, I thought it looked really, really poor. The Mogwai Gizmo, I think he's very, very cute. I see how that was like a smash hit with children and very popular. I'm surprised there weren't more and aren't more Mogwai toys to
call
to
them
my
Furbies.
knowledge. Yeah, it seems like that should have taken off like Pokemon did. You know, the Gremlins themselves. They're sort of like they're fine.
I think it's a nice bit of puppet work and stuff, but yeah, I mean,
I've seen
it's
better
not-
puppetry. I wasn't
Yeah.
watching it like, wow, this is amazing puppetry in this. I was watching it like, I guess
Yeah,
it's
like when-
charming that they're puppets. It wasn't like when I watched Little Shop of Horrors that came out 2 years later and has like incredible animatronics and puppetry where you're like in awe of what they're doing, or The Thing even that came out like 2 years later again.
Why?
No, actually, when did The Thing come out?
Yeah, 86. That sounds about right. Yeah.
Oh no, The Thing came out 2 years before this, so
Oh,
yeah,
right.
I've got no excuse.
Well, right. I like to compare it to say when I watched Labyrinth, right? There's some scenes in Labyrinth where there's this big group scene. There's loads of puppets, and you kind of without losing the reality of the world you're in, you get a sense of how much is going on and what must be going on behind the scenes. There's lots of different types of puppets. There's just a hand up the neck and things bouncing up and down, little people in suits running around, things with animatronic faces.
Yeah.
There's so much going on.
Yeah. There's shots in Army of Darkness when the skeletons attack the castle, and you've got like 3 different layers of. You've got your stop-start animatronic skeletons, like bringing up the rear. You've got like extras dressed up as skeletons right at the back, just filling it in. You've got like half puppet skeletons with no legs, like up in front of the camera being puppeteered. It's a really beautiful mixture of effects work, and I don't know. There was nothing in this film where I
But
looked
in this,
at it and thought,
even the
like,
big scene
wow.
when they're all in the cinema and there's kind of a lot going on, it just all felt like they're all the same and they're all just,
it's a
you
puppet.
know, smoking or eating popcorn.
It's the kind of film where I feel like a lot of people would have been like, all the puppeteers, you need to give your your gremlin a character, and I want your gremlin to, like, you know, behave in that way. And it doesn't feel like that when you're watching it. It feels like they've just asked a runner to just hold the puppet in place while they like film the shot. And then...
Yeah, there was not a lot of personality in it, and they kind of try and make an effort to make the leader Stripe, just give him a Mohican so that you can tell who he is. But that's it really. They needed more personality, like individual things that you could identify with.
Yeah.
Calvin, tell me one good thing about this film.
Oh my god.
You can't, can you? See?
I think it's funny. I think it's very funny.
Do you really?
Yes.
You know, I was going to say that. I just paused. I thought Saul's going to take care of this.
No. I think tonally, I think it's like I say. I compared it to An American Werewolf in
Laurel and
London earlier
Hardy.
on. I think it's...
Give us some jokes that are funny.
Well, it's not jokes necessarily. It is like, I mean, I do think that Mrs. Deagle having her Stanner lift tampered with, and then she goes flying out the window. I think that's funny. I think the dad's...
Calvin is so... Your idea of like
What?
your idea of a hilarious joke is just catapulting an old woman.
But Calvin does
Catapulting an old woman to death.
Calvin does like violence though, like gremlins being stuck in a blender in a microwave and stuff like that. I feel like that's
Mean-spirited
Calvin,
violence as well, isn't it?
yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? I also like some of the inventions. I like the smokeless ashtray that he tries to sell to that one guy, and then when he's leaving, there's just smoke billowing out of it. I thought that was funny.
One of my problems with all that was all his inventions are things that actually exist, and I couldn't tell if that was the joke or not.
But yeah, he's not very good.
Yeah.
I just assumed in 1984 they didn't have a Swiss Army knife or a orange juicer.
Yeah, but an orange juices already exist. So what niche are you filling? Unless you're gonna make it like cheap. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't. Yeah, even that didn't make sense.
I'm surprised that you're both so disliking of this film. I kind of thought that this was going to be.
I sound more negative than I actually feel towards it. I'm going to soften that surprise blow that I don't hate Gremlins. It's just I don't get the love for Gremlins.
You know, it has an animated series coming. I think. Well, it must be next year
I wanted
now.
to ask about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I know they've been talking about a third Gremlins movie for like the longest time.
Yeah, it's been like 10 years or something.
Well, it does feel like
and
something
that's currently listed on IMDb for 2023, which absolutely cannot be correct, can it?
Well, there is this. The animated series is called Gremlins: Secrets of the Mogwai, and it has Zach Galligan coming back as Billy Peltz.
Gremlins is ripe for a remake. You know, it's a nice concept, but done badly first time round. So let's do it better.
Zach Galligan says Gremlins 3 is inevitable if the HBO
Inevitable.
Max
That's not a compliment.
if the HBO Max series succeeds. That's what he says
Gremlins
last
3
year.
is unstoppable.
Which sounds like it isn't official, but then there's other things claiming that it is official. I agree, though. I think Gremlins 3, if it ever gets made, will likely be the best one in the franchise. By
Do it as a soft reboot.
What?
You know, trade on nostalgia, but basically.
Well, yeah, it'll just be
do
new
the same
characters
thing, but
get
well.
the Mogwai, and the same thing happens again, but they'll just kind of do it well.
And then
'cause...
someone calls Zach Galligan in as like the expert, and he has to come and help.
I can't wait for it. But the second one obviously flopped at the box office quite significantly. And to be fair, it wasn't really...
I don't know why you made me laugh when you said flopped. There was something sexual about that. Just the way you said it. I don't know.
But I can definitely see why, like as Saul said earlier on, that film is very much just they couldn't conceive of doing a Gremlins film without Joe Dante back, apparently. So 6 years later, they just let him have complete free reign, and he made something very non-franchise friendly, I'll say.
I was so disappointed when I came to watch Gremlins 2 because people talk about it like it's the weirdest, wackiest film. I can't believe this got through production, blah, blah, blah. And then you watch it and it's like, well, it's just Gremlins again, but with like 5 little weird bits chucked in where it's sort of like, oh, that was a bit weird.
Well, no, the whole tone of the thing is very different. I wouldn't even describe it as a horror comedy like I do the first one. I think it is.
I wouldn't call the first one a horror comedy, really, but
okay. But no, like, you know, it breaks the fourth wall a lot. It's very self-referential. It's poking fun at itself. It's very meta. In a similar vein to a lot of Wes Craven films, I would say.
Well, speaking of meta, have you guys seen Portuguese Gremlins?
No.
Oh, it's good. You should check it out.
I knew the rules would bother you, Sol. Like if it can't eat after midnight, then you know what time.
You're saying that like I'm being pedantic, but it like blatantly doesn't make any sense whatsoever. To the point that if someone told you that when you were buying the thing, you would just sort of just not being difficult. You would just be like, okay, so when can I start feeding it again? Like you like what do they ever establish how that works in the franchise? Is there ever a hint of like, or is it just Joe Dante's line of, well, we make fun of that in the second one? So.
Well, no, you go to
they
sleep,
make fun of it in the second one,
you
and
go to
that's
sleep,
it.
and then when you wake up, you have breakfast.
Is that it? Is it just like a spiritual?
It's just depending on when you sleep.
Does this feel like the next day or not? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It must really stink if you can't get him wet.
Yeah.
There's no bathing him.
No.
How do they take on moisture? Because they've got like eyeballs that seem to operate the same as other animals with moisture in them.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess some people can be allergic to water, can't they? So, and our bodies are 70% water or whatever. Yeah, people can be allergic to water.
Water allergy?
Yeah.
That's terrifying. You can become allergic to anything at any given time in your life out of nowhere. If I can become allergic to water, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's awful.
I mean, is if you drink like orange juice, is it all right? Or is it like is your body smart enough to go, there's water in this, you can't have it, mate?
Well, because they must, hydrate somehow. Maybe I'll look into this.
I assume they just suffer through the. Like I had a friend who was allergic to shellfish, and she just ate it anyway and got all like puffed up because she liked eating prawns.
Oh god, yeah, they're not that good.
I love prawns.
Gremlins, eh? We'll go on then. Anything else, or should we?
No. My Christmassy spirit has been trampled on. Just discussing this beloved classic with you both.
Calvin, aren't Lady Gaga fans called Little Gremlins or something?
No, Little Monsters.
Little Monsters.
Oh, right, okay. All right, forget that then. Thought that might be related somehow.
It's Electric Six fans, Alan.
They're called Gremlins.
Yeah.
Are they?
No.
What are they called? You must have a little name for yourselves.
The Crazies, weirdly, which isn't very good, to be honest.
That's also a film.
It is also a film, yeah. George Romero. Right. Should we rate it? Should we put a number on it?
I go on
yes. Okay. I'll go first.
Calvin, you go first, then I'll go second, so Saul can decide who he loves most.
Okay. Right. Yes. I'm very curious to see what you're both going to rate this. It's an 8 from me. I'm quite surprised that I've been the lone positive voice. I thought that this would be... Well, I didn't know about Alan, but I thought that Saul might have, like me, had some sort of fond memories of this. Though, like I say, I did only come to it very late on. I think I must have been late teens, early 20s whenever I started watching this religiously, because, as I say, it was a little bit too scary for me as a delicate child that I was. But no, I think it's very funny. I love the tone, the mood. I think it's creepy and scary in places still. And yeah, I still laugh. I think it's just a lovely dark comedy, but it has that festive feel to it, so it's nice to watch around this time of year. I'd take it over Die Hard any day.
Oh gosh. Well, I think it's interesting that you're saying that, because I was trying to think, like, who is this film for? Like, who would like this? And I think, but I also think that it's boring. I think it's really slow and not well put together. So that's boring for a kid. So it wouldn't appeal to them on that level. It takes too long to get going. I think it's objectively a badly put together film. I think even Calvin is going to agree with that. But you can get away with that if it's just fun bits, especially in just a chaotic film. And perhaps that's there. I don't really care for it myself. Anyway, I gave it a 3.
Ooh. It's lower than even I thought you were going to go there. Well, I'm more on Calvin's side than yours then, Alan. It turns out, because it's got stuff I like in it. I don't hate it. I just think it's a mess and it's a waste of a good premise, really.
Yeah, it definitely is that. I think this could be 10 times better easily, with no more money spent on it, really, because it's the Gremlins where you're putting the money. You just need a
probably
good...
with less money, honestly.
All you need is someone to write a script, actors, and a director. That's all you need. Easy.
I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. It's quite generous 6, but so there you go. Slightly more on Calvin's side than yours, Alan, I'm afraid.
So, guys, does that mean Christmas is over then?
Yeah.
Calvin, how many films are in your I watch this every year at Christmas list now?
You know what? There's probably not that many. There's Black Christmas, Mickey Mouse's Christmas Carol.
When you say Black Christmas, though, you watch all 3 versions of it now, don't you?
No, I do only watch. Well, I watched the original one. I might watch the
see how I feel.
The first remake. I did watch the third one last year, and I didn't like it very much. So I don't think that'll be coming a.
It's weird. I know we've spoken about it before, but you hated the first remake, and you've really come round on it now.
Well, I think there's something comforting about it. It's very inoffensive.
Is it the murder, Calvin?
You went on full-on drunken rants against the Black Christmas remake and what they did to
he doesn't
Billy
drink like he used to. He's settled down a bit.
It's a Wonderful Life, of course, that comes up.
Has there been no recent additions?
Have you seen Violent Night yet, Calvin? The name suggests that you'll enjoy that one.
No, I haven't. But
I'm sure
I
you'll
did
hate it. It's more of an action thing than a people being killed thing, isn't it?
Is that the one with David Harbour in it?
Yeah. That's this year's big Christmas movie. Oh, and there's that Spirited with Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds. Oh, and that Lindsay Lohan one, the Lindsay Lohan one.
I actually want to see that. Yeah. And I did see that Disney Plus have done a Tim Allen's back as Santa Claus for
That's a TV series, though. That's
right.
a Disney Plus series, an ongoing. I think the guy who did that right-wing Fox sitcom that he was doing is involved.
Oh. Oh, and Nightmare Before Christmas, of course, which me and Sol watched last week.
Apparently, there's a load of jokes in the Santa Clauses, this new thing that are oh, you can't say anything. You can't even say Christmas these days. All woke.
Oh dear.
Tim Allen.
So what do you do, Alan? I guess you've got a nephew, and so you presumably a Christmas Day is all about the children.
Funnily enough, my family had their Christmas 2 days ago. I wasn't there. So
you normally go along to your family's thing. Why did you?
I must say, I did see your brother posting the pictures, and I had hoped that they were from a previous year or something, not this year. But,
No, I just haven't had the time to go up this year. My parents are going on holiday in a few days, so I'm not going up for actual Christmas.
So you're not even getting the meal this year. You're going to have nothing for Christmas whatsoever.
Well, that's why
I'm going. So sad.
I'm going over to the community centre tomorrow to help give the old people their Christmas dinner, because I reckon I'll get some food out.
That's love. Oh.
But
Started out nice.
I am going to volunteer as well, but it's because I was there while he was cooking it today, and I was really wanting Christmas dinner now. But I'm going to have it on my own, mate. Christmas Day, I'll cook my own turkey for one. A tiny little turkey. I'm going to get a finch or something.
I'll probably cook myself a Christmas meal in addition to doing Christmas properly. On another
I'm going to
day.
go around all my neighbours and just eat Christmas dinner like Vicar of Dibley. Don't have to eat loads of sprouts. That'd be hilarious.
Great.
And then I'll have a Terry's chocolate orange.
Don't tap it, whack it. I like the white ones as well. They only come out at Christmas, don't they?
I've seen they've got a dark chocolate one out. I'm really excited. I'm going to order one.
It's a shame they don't do a multi-pack, because then we could share. You could have the dark chocolate one, I could have the white chocolate one, and Alan could have the milk chocolate one.
I'll have the normal one, yeah.
I'm going to buy one of each.
Oh.
And melt them all into one giant chocolate orange. Hey, do you know what? I was in Sainsbury's the other day, and it said on the little price label, Terry's white chocolate ball. It didn't even say orange. Like, come on, guys. Wow. It comes in segments. Do you know Terry's originally did a chocolate apple and then they changed it to orange?
Really?
Is that because of the segments?
I don't know, because surely that's the whole point of it. You can't just make a big chocolate ball; it'd be impenetrable. But it's true.
Oh,
I
I
went to
the
the chocolate history thing in York, and they told us that.
That's another one down then, isn't it? Christmas.
Good Christmas fun. I'm coming round to Christmas. I think I was very cynical about it for a long time.
Well, now you don't have to spend it with your family.
Not just this year. I mean, in general, just a peek into our personal lives. Sol and I spent a while the other day. We walked around like the fancy streets of London and all the lights and everything and all the shop displays.
Yeah, I was coming round to London. Yeah, it was nice. Just everyone's kind of on the same page and playing to the same game, and it's quite nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what most people immediately land on before they can speak. But okay, good.
Yeah, but
I've
never really felt part of society, so it's a different thing.
Yeah, well, fair enough. So are you? Because I know you used to be vehemently against, if you ever had a kid, vehemently against letting them believe in Father Christmas. You were just going to tell them straight up that it didn't exist. So have you come around on that yet, or are you still gonna?
I don't like the concept. I don't like the concept at all. But yeah, well, I was yesterday. Yesterday I was, I was helping with the Santa's grotto, all the little kiddies, and
did you believe in Father
faces.
Christmas when you were a kid, or did your parents not let you have that?
No, they definitely did that. I don't remember at what age. I don't remember, but bear in mind I'm the youngest of three, so it might have been given away to me early on.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't recall specifics. But yeah, I'm sure. I was like, how come Santa's getting his presents off the car boot?
We should bring some of these things back. Do you know the Christmas cat?
The Christmas cat?
No, but I can get on board with anything to do with a cat.
The Christmas cat. I think it's Iceland's Santa.
Oh.
Yeah, it is. It's from Iceland. It's a giant cat who comes on, I think, Christmas Eve.
Is this
and
foreign
if you're not,
cultures?
Yeah. It's like Krampus and Belschnickel and all that. They've got these evil Santas
and the
in other
racist
countries.
one in Holland.
Yeah. So the Icelandic one is the Christmas cat. It's a giant cat. It comes on Christmas Eve, and if you're not wearing a new item of clothing, so I think generally you get given a gift of new socks or new pants or something to wear as a kid. If you're not wearing a new item of clothing, the cat eats you. That's the Christmas cat.
That's our little bastards, aren't they?
Can't wait till the horror circuit latch onto that one, and we get 3 Christmas cat horror movies in quick succession. Be good fun. Thanks for listening, everyone. See you on the next episode, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for listening.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Christmas to all.
Moving house.
Oh, and also thanks to our Patreon subscribers for selecting Gremlins on our poll. We did this film, guys. I should mention, because they made us.
Have they ever picked a film that I've liked?
Well, it was between Gremlins and Die Hard 3. So Calvin had a nice year.
I like Die Hard 3 as a classic.
Yeah. No, I like Die Hard 3. So one of us was going to be upset, is what I'm saying.
Why can't it be
Whatever
Calvin?
happened. All right.
Bye.
That's brilliant. It's in the movie done.